and welcome back to another episode of Celebrate You, the podcast on personal development, money, and entrepreneurship. And health is important. Eating is super important. So today I have a gift from Mexico to the world, and we've got Chef Daniel Bravo. He is a Mexican chef. He's traveled the world. And he's got a very interesting profile because he's worked for years in the Greenpeace ships as such, like feeding the whole population in the ship. And what he specializes on, and he's going to talk to us about today, is healthy and sustainable eating, which is super relevant to all of us. So Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Moni. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity and yeah, for allowing me to share what I've my whole experience and and to be able to speak and to come to everybody that is listening, and hopefully I can provide let's say a nutritious podcast for everyone.
That's a beautiful word, a nutritious podcast. I'll use that in the social media.
Yeah, definitely.
Okie dokie. So let's start with, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up doing the work that you do?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm a professional chef. Yeah. I've been a chef for quite a long time. I went to cooking school, and I work for different things. I cooked for the Mexican president.
Oh,
once.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, the former Mexican president. Like I've been doing some great jobs, some really fancy jobs. And yes, as soon as I left the school, let's say as soon as I finished, I was really into like the professional cooking and the restaurant industry, and as I said, I had some pretty cool jobs, but you know what, there was always something missing, right? About my profession at that time, and the reality is that it was great. Like the job itself was great for a 22, 21-year-old boy.
Yeah.
It was I was having a great job, and it was just so amazing. But I felt a bit of an emptiness on myself, if I might say. And and the truth is that I felt that I needed to do something else besides my work and besides my passion, which was the food, right? And it still is.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I had some great opportunities in front of my life, and I just went for them. One of them was I took a job in Playa del Carmen in a very nice French restaurant. But having this job over there kind of allowed me to interact and to be more present with nature.
Of course, because Playa del Carmen, it's just like beautiful, surrounded by.
Yeah, absolutely. And back at the time, it was not so developed. It was more, let's say, more wild in a way. So just imagine, right? On my breaks, I was going and doing snorkeling, right, for hours, and then I just got a shower, get dressed, and I go back to
you were living the life.
Yeah, no, it was superb, right? But to be honest, there was a couple of times when I was there, and in some of my the breaks that I have, that I saw the beauty of nature. Yeah, I mean, it's so clear, so evident when nature shows its true beauty, especially in the Mexican Caribbean.
Yeah.
But I also saw what we were doing to it, right? And at one time I was just in the middle of of one of the beach and really early in the morning, and I just saw these beautiful coral reefs and the sunrise and so on, and then a lot of garbage on it. And it's just a right now
Sad.
garbage in the beach and garbage in the ocean is so we're so used to it, right? And that's just not right. That's just not right. And to be honest, this really shocked me a little bit. And I was already doing some let's say activist work in Mexico. I was part of a party, of a political party, and I was the youth, how do you call it, the Secretary of Environment.
Oh wow! Oh wow! So you have another side too.
Yeah. But I mean, for the youth part of the party, right? In the alcaldía, in the municipal. Well, it's not municipal.
Yeah, municipality.
Yeah, sort of. And I mean, it was super exciting. We did a lot of really cool stuff, but then it was all going to let's get votes, right? Like, it was all extremely political. It started to being like, let's really do something, but let's do something so that we get more votes or we get more people.
Yeah, right? Rather than let's do something to properly help.
Exactly. And so I was already doing stuff like that, and so that kind of shocked me a little bit, right? That what I saw in Playa del Carmen and what I saw in other in Mazunte as well, and I was seeing on you can see it right behind me, there's a lot of trees, and this is where I grew up. I was born at home, and I've grown fortunately in a family with my father and my mom. Especially my father, we were growing trees in the land of the house, and there is many trees right now that that me and my father we just plant them from seed, and they are
wow
huge. Yeah.
Oh wow, that is so cool. Yeah. I've never met someone with that story, that it's like, we planted like that, and I planted the trees in the, let's say, outside the house.
That's right.
30 years later, here it goes. It's a huge tree.
No, it's really amazing, and it's crazy that you have been growing here, and I've watched them grow. And together with me, they've grown with me. They've grown with my own life, right?
Oh, cool.
And another crazy thing is that, for example,
can I interrupt? Did you see them as your friends?
I get a what?
Do you see the trees as your friends, or is it like a close relationship? I see my plants in the house like, oh, I've got a new friend.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I see them as friends. I would invite them for a beer. but it's a
unique question, let's say.
Yeah, but in a way, it's for me, nature and the trees and the plants in general, especially the trees. Sorry, that's Lucas, a bit of a loud chihuahua. It's just an amazing. I saw them as something way bigger than myself. Right, I see them as something that is it's amazing. We cannot really explain how they interact, how the connection there is between each single tree, that they really, in the roots, they pass nutrients from one to the other, and it's just nature is so indescribable, right? And I think in many aspects, trees are the wise old man that talks about nature. Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
So another funny fact, just listen to this. I know it's kind of like a funny story in my life. I don't want to drag all of the conversation to this, but
fine. That's the most interesting bit.
Yeah, well, but I think it's an interesting thing, and you'll know why. So I was born at home. I was the fifth of five children, right? Big family. And my mom decided to have me here. They planned it very well and so on. Well, at least I think they did, or maybe it was just like, oh, let's just have it here. What I mean is the fifth one. Who cares?
We know.
No, I think they truly planned it. Then, yeah, I was born here, and you know what my father did? He put my placenta on the lawn, right? And he put an apple tree on top of it.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
That's crazy, right? And the apple tree is right there, right now.
Oh, he or she is
part
of your life. Like, you are connected.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
That is unique. That is super cool. That is extremely super cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's a little bit spooky as well.
It's a bit spooky. Yes, it's a bit different. Couldn't call it spooky. It's a bit different. That's unique. That is
no, I totally think it's unique, and especially like the connection and the way I was open to all of the world of nature and all of the trees and how important is the connection that we can have with them, right? Like, as important as literally some part of me is right now growing in the apple tree, right? Which is crazy. But
that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Why you feel so much connection with nature and the work that you do, because like since you were a kid, you knew that part of you is physically connected to earth. And there's a tree that basically took the nutrients and then blossomed. So it's like, makes a lot of sense that you have the career that you have.
Yeah, that's totally right. That's
absolutely amazing.
So in a way, since very young, I felt this connection. For me, it was natural. It was not something that you actually, unfortunately nowadays, we need to work to get this connection back to ourselves. But fortunately for me, it was always there. So I didn't, it was something that was never broken for me, right? And to be honest, when I start to, as soon as I start getting older and realize the impact that we have as human beings in the planet, I felt kind of like a debt with nature. It's not really a debt, but it's like you cannot just keep on going with your life knowing that something so valuable, something so precious, unique, and something that is part of you is so badly threatened, right? And that's okay. Long story short, that's pretty much
I'll interrupt you there. You said something very important, because you said it's like you cannot let something that is part of you to be threatened. Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful mindset, because we don't think of nature as something that's part of us. Most of the times we're like, oh, we need to do something for nature, the planet. We live in the planet, but we are not saying nature is part of us. And when something is part of you, it's like you talk about it like if it was your family. It's like you even like touched your heart when you said like, it's part of me. Of course you do something when you feel that part of you or your family is threatened. So it's a very powerful way of living and thinking.
Yeah, that's right. And again, it was, I mean, in some aspect, it was like, okay, like you cannot ignore this, right? Like it's impossible to ignore this. And of course, I could have carried on with a little bit that professional side of me and taking these cool jobs and so on, and maybe taking my chef's career into more of the success and money-oriented part of the profession,
which is okay.
Sorry.
Which is okay too.
Which is totally fine. It's absolutely okay. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing wrong. It's just I had this call.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think something really important, and maybe something that I love to tell to younger humans, especially like teenagers and so on, is that there is gonna be, and I think it happens to each one of us at some point in our life, we get a call
Yes.
from our hearts, from God, or from whatever you believe in.
Nature. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get sort of this call, and it's trying to tell us that maybe a different path is ahead of us, and maybe that path is gonna give us more happiness, and it might free us a little bit more. It might give more to other people, and by doing that, it might give us more. So when this call happens, I think it's really important not to ignore it, right?
Mhm.
And just to try to, okay, it's also there. So let's try to maybe, exactly, or let's make a marriage of tastes, right? Like if you would, or maybe wine and food, try to mix them and try to integrate that into your own life, right?
Yeah. And I
So
think when you find what that thing is, it's a blessing. And I think you found it.
totally.
I think I found it, took me years, but it's not, you know about what the thing is since
Yeah,
you're young, but maybe you don't listen to it. It's
that's right.
it's until you're like in your mid-late 30s that you're like, oh, maybe I should.
No, definitely. And I think it's a blessing to hear it again, right? Like I think we can always hear it when we were young, and maybe for several reasons we are so worried about getting the good grades, and let's be a lawyer instead of being a painter, or house painter too. But I mean an artist, or whatever, or so there is a lot of things in our minds and in our let's say our track, right? Like we've been educated in this way, and fortunately for me, taking a decision of fighting for planets, or for fighting for something that is part of me, was very easy, because I have also amazing roots on me from my family, from my father, from my mom, and so having said that, it was quite easy for me to make a shift. I actually rejected a very cool job. Like I was going to be the private chef of the owners of Blockbuster company. Do you remember Blockbuster?
Oh, wow. Yes, of course I do.
Yeah.
Like we're about the same age.
Like that's maybe the worst business nowadays. But anyway, Blockbuster used to be cool and used to be
Yeah.
quite a big deal. And so just when I came back from that trip in Playa del Carmen, I really wanted to do something more. So I finished my chef's career, and I went into the jungle in Mexico. I went as a volunteer in a national park in Calakmul, which is in Campeche. And I went there as a park guard, right?
Mhm.
And I was a volunteer. I wasn't being paid.
Wow.
And I was sleeping in the middle of the jungle in this little house that is, it's quite raw in the middle of nowhere. We had 2 hours of electricity because of the solar panels, and the electricity was only 2 light bulbs. And the showers were like 20 meters away. We need to go there at night to have a shower.
Oh my God.
And then we
Bathroom?
walk. Huh?
The bathrooms? Was it one of those
Yeah,
school jungle hole on the earth?
totally.
Like when
Exactly.
we were in.
Exactly. It was exactly
In a
as you
field trip.
described.
Yeah. Oh, wow. How long did you live there?
I was there for up to 6 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
It was a long time, yeah. Yeah, I really needed this. I really needed this. I had an urge of doing something and of being close to the to nature and to feel that I can give. No, it was crazy. It was a great experience. One time I had to remove a boa,
Oh my God.
yeah, from one of the guard park's hammocks, right? So the boa was there, and yeah, like to be honest, Mexicans, we all are afraid of snakes, right? Or any type, right?
I think the world's population, not just Mexico,
Also, we're
everyone is
exactly,
afraid of snakes.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, my colleagues, they were really afraid, and they just wanted, no, take him out, take him. So I took her out went with it. It was beautiful, and it's such a beautiful, precious animal. It's amazing, and she was just so gentle.
How did you do that? Like, did you properly touch the animal? Somehow
Oh yeah.
you managed to convince her to leave the hammock and go back into the
No,
jungle.
yeah, not quite like that. I wish, but no, I
Yeah.
was also very afraid. So I just grabbed a broom.
Okay. Yes, I was
And
making it very romantic.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, I
the
wish
verb.
I should try to make something up more romantic and more, but no. So I just grabbed the broom, and with the broom, she kind of like grabbed the broom with her upper body, and I just grabbed the tail, right? So it was like that,
Oh yeah, you
and
properly touched it. Yeah.
yeah, it's such a beautiful skin. It's so smooth, so beautiful. And one thing about some of the boas is that when they change skin, and when they're not so big.
Yeah.
So big, I'm talking about 1.5 meters, or yeah, like pretty big. The skin might be a little bit pink. It's so beautiful, so amazingly beautiful. And yeah, so I just put it there and just went quickly back to the. But yeah, I mean, we were taking showers on this shower little house, and there were really big scorpions, and they were not poisonous. There were huge tarantulas, and you were always scared about the poisonous snakes, of course. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a
How,
that was a
how did that experience change you and your connection with
uh,
nature?
that that experience. Well, at that time, that was the most amazing experience I had in my life. It just shaped my world. All of the people I met, every time there was a biologist, I was, no, I'm going with him. I'm going with, and I was going with him to do research, and some of those trips were really wild. I slept in the middle of the jungle with him 2 nights, and you can hear
Sounds of the jungle.
like really close to you, and like something is being killed out there. And like
Yes,
I
because
just
of
hope.
course in Mexico, just to put context, it's not like for people listening in the UK, and we know the beautiful forest in the UK, it's a beautiful forest. So when we
Right.
say the Mexican jungle in the southern part of Mexico, you need to imagine like jaguars
Yeah,
type
absolutely.
of jungle. So it's like properly
Exactly.
something is being killed in there. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. No, definitely. And it's cougars, jaguars, and of course you're afraid of the most dangerous snake on America, which is the anauyaka. That's how they call it over there. The viper. It has different names. It ranges from the south of the U.S. to
Okay.
to obviously the Amazonas one. It's amazingly aggressive. It's really aggressive, and it has a very uh, like the bite is it's super fast. It's like like the perfect snake. It's so amazingly dangerous, right? You see, like this in Animal Planet, yeah, they rate the most.
Most
So
dangerous
definitely,
snakes.
yeah, I think that's rated number one in the American continents, right?
And
And
that
it's
little snake was running around where you used to live in the jungles.
I've fortunately I never saw one of them,
Okay.
but yeah, there was obviously rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Rattlesnakes, they are not as aggressive. Like you might walk by and it's okay as long as you don't. According to my colleagues there, they said that the Nauyaka, and of course it had many crazy names, that if she hears you, she's gonna go after you. She's gonna bite you, and it's the cause of many deaths in that region, because usually they wait on the bottom of the chicle tree, which is the workers, they go there and grab the chicle, the actual gum,
the gum tree. Yeah,
the gum tree, exactly.
Oh,
and
wow.
When they come back, they come down, it just gets them. So it's
attack.
Yeah, that was the biggest fear of all of us there, obviously. And
wow.
The poison as well. You have to act very quickly, and if you're in the middle of the jungle, like I was with this biologist, and there was no chance of making it if you were bitten by the snake.
No.
Look at me. Yeah, tranquilo. So it was really crazy. One funny thing, when we were coming back to the how do you call it? There's a little house, where the car parks sleep. It was maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So we were going to the center of the national park, of the jungle, like completely untouched and amazing, in a 4x4 in a tiny little road. I had to come down and pull the 4x4 because there was a lot of water. It's just a crazy trip. On our way back, it was quite night and dark. So you guys can get an idea of it was a crazy experience. Honest, we were going in the 4x4, and then out of the sudden, a bat, you know what?
Bat.
Yeah, a bat. Yeah, they're fruit bats. They're harmless, but they are big. One of them just crashed into my face.
Oh my God.
Like literally crashed into my face, and for something that in my opinion, was like 2 or 3 minutes, but it was actually a couple of seconds.
3 seconds.
We fight each other.
Oh my God.
And I removed him from my face, right? So yeah, just imagine feeling a little bit of the hairy and the skin of the bath with maybe a bit of sweat.
Ew, does it feel slimy?
No, it's like so for example, just imagine a dog without a lot of hair, like a Chihuahua maybe.
Yeah.
And imagine the belly a little bit.
It's not a nice feeling.
It's not a nice feeling. No. And the skin is a bit harder. So yeah, but it was fun, and we talk about it, and it was just a lot of laughs. But yeah, that definitely changed my life, and it was the most amazing experience I had.
You've been in nature, with nature, living side to side with nature, the good and the scary too. You've had close interaction with snakes and the bats in your face. Like no one can say that.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I can see why you're so passionate about what you do.
Yeah, just let me tell you this. One of the nights that I was in this place, I like to sleep outside at times, which was maybe not the best idea, but anyway. So I put my hammock, and there was a couple of times there was no moon, and the stars were so bright, so beautiful. And in one of those nights, there were a lot of how do you call the light light bugs, or right, like light bugs, right? So it was at some point, it was like the stars were flying around me, and I could see the sky. Sorry?
Fireflies are the light bugs.
Fireflies, yes, fireflies. That's right. Yeah, and so that was so beautiful, so indescribable. It was absolutely amazing, and many other things that I was able to see, and the people that I met as well, and that really changed my life. And I was about to give up my chef's career to become maybe a biologist, not really a biologist, but yeah, I wanted to go to Australia.
And what made you reconcile both your chef career, that's one of your passions, and then nature and Greenpeace and sustainable eating?
That's right, yeah. What made me do that is I came back to Mexico City, right? I had a proper hot shower, first of all,
Of course.
with constant water flow, and a decent toilet.
Of
Anyway,
course.
yeah. Sorry about that, but yeah, it's anyway. I just came here and I just decided that I couldn't carry on with my life without doing something, right? So I was looking for options. I looked for WWF, many other NGOs in Mexico. That was at the time in Mexico, the movement was not as strong as maybe it is today. There were not so many options, but I found Greenpeace in an advertisement in Periférico, driving my car, and I went there as a volunteer, and I signed up as a volunteer, and I just carried on and get involved more and more and more, and I get involved with the campaigns, the first campaign, the GMO campaign with
Yep.
maize in Mexico, and the rest of the campaigns. And I was a very active activist, right? And during all of that time, I was still being a chef. I was working I was working as a bartender many times. Yeah, I was also doing caterings and like working in a catering business. But I didn't want to get too involved. I wanted to keep my freedom and especially my activism, right?
Yeah.
And so like this door opened for me, and it happened at some point that one of the ships was coming to Mexico, the Arctic Sunrise, and they needed a cook assistant in the ship. So it happens that I was a chef already. Well, I was trained as a chef, and yeah, I was a very passionate volunteer, and I was doing all the time. I was there, very active, and I joined. Definitely, I said, absolutely, I'm going there. And yeah, I was there for a month as a cook assistant. Then I had to stay in Mexico. Then the ship left. Then they called me again as a deckhand, as a volunteer in the Amazon in Brazil. And then they asked me if I can take over from the cook that was on that time. It was an Argentinian that was a little bit, he was not feeling very well. So he went home, and I took over for the transit as a cook. And that was it. From that time on, they keep on calling me as a cook, and that's how.
How many years did you do in Greenpeace ships?
On Greenpeace ships, I started in Greenpeace as a volunteer in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a long time, right? So yeah, it's been about 17 years. Not always. I have not always been constant on my rotations as a cook. I've maybe at some point I was sailing only one time and doing more things in Mexico. But yeah, it's been about 17 years of a cook, and a little bit more as a volunteer and cook assistant. And yeah,
that's like a whole episode on its own, like 17 years working, because like I'm sure like everything that you saw during those trips and the ship and the adventures were like good and bad, like both. They must have been fascinating.
Yeah, it was definitely fascinating. Definitely fascinating. It was it was absolutely breathtaking.
Yes,
Right?
that's the word.
Yeah, and it's as exactly what you said, that you can see the bad and you can see the beauty. And I think that's a little bit life, right? But being an activist and being able to see the most beautiful things on nature. I was in Patagonia in my first trip. I was in a beautiful glaciers, but then we saw this the mark that where the glacier was supposed to be,
Oh,
and where the glacier was at that time, right? And it's just heartbreaking, right? So you see all of this beauty, you see also this amazing marine life, a lot of yeah, little dolphins and whatnot, and whales, but at the same time, you know that, and you are absolutely conscious about all of the things that we are doing to destroy that.
yes. And that's
Right.
where what you said at the beginning makes so much sense. You have to protect what's part of you. You have to do
Yeah,
something about it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So what
And
can we do? Like you and I as day-to-day humans.
well, to be honest, I mean, a lot has happened on 17 years,
Mm.
obviously. Um, Working for maybe the most important organization on the planet, the biggest one, and the one with most of the biggest amount of resources as well. I've been to the North Pole, I've been to the Amazon and many other places. And to be honest, it's what we can do in our daily lives. That's about it. That's the perfect solution. That's the perfect thing that I mean, it's in our hands. It's in nobody else's hands. It's not in the government's hands, for sure. It's not in the big corporations like Shell, like Nestle, like these guys that they truly want money above all. Like they definitely don't feel like they're part of the planet.
They don't feel connected to the planet and
They don't feel this connection. No,
breathe.
maybe in their villas, right, in some fancy place. But yeah, this is what I've been trying to, what I've been telling to all of the people that has come to the ship and that has really approached to us and so on, and the open boats and so on and whatnot. You know, the biggest and most impactful activity that we have as human beings for the planet and for the ones living on the planet, obviously including humans, is eating, is food.
Yeah.
Food contributes. I mean, we can measure it, and actually, if we measure it in a very deep, very detailed way, it would be, well, like maybe 42% of the CO2 emissions would come from food production in all of its forms. So it's crazily, well, actually, right now the United Nations and many other organisms are talking about getting close to almost the 1/3 of the CO2 emissions. Well, the CO2 and the and methane and other gases that are coming from the whole food industry.
Production industry.
Yeah, and this is official entities, right, on the planet.
1/3 is
we
a lot.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot, and it's way more than the transportation. Transportation is about I think the 14%, or up to 14 to up to 18, and that's kind of coming down slowly with some of the technology that we are implementing there. The biggest one is actually still householding. Actually cooling and temperating the space that we live.
Yeah.
Either that's if that's our office
The
or
heating
house.
or the AC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we measure everything, if we account all of the impacts that industrialized food production has on the planet, then it would very easily go further. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know that was the biggest cause for biodiversity loss on the planet. Well, mainly forest and jungle loss is up to 70%, and that's industrialized agriculture and cattle farming.
Yes.
That's the biggest cause right now in the Amazon, and that's actually up to 80%. It's the biggest cause in Mexico, in all of the countries of Latin America, in Papua New Guinea. I was there a couple of years ago. Uh, the industrialized palm production
Yes.
is just ripping up the
Right.
forest.
Yeah. In Malaysia, there's like palm, a lot of palm as well.
Yeah, and it's
And it is, of course, I haven't had that much connection to nature as you, as in living in the jungle. But like here in Malaysia, there is like beautiful nature. And then when I went to Kuching, that it's like an island here, and then it's like you see the orangutans, and then it's like they look at you and see them like jumping, and I was like, oh, and they were like, she's pregnant, and I'm like, wow, look at that, she's pregnant and he's hanging, and da da da. And then you look at the little video of the little orangutan that lost her home because of palm oil. You go like,
yeah,
oh, I know that little orangutan. Like,
yeah.
it is sad.
It's heartbreaking. It's just amazingly sad, right? Uh, to be honest, something that we face, well, let's say the activist, the environmental activist, with all of the what is happening in the world, is that we could be in despair very easily. And that happens to everyone, right? Like, how breaking is that scene? How breaking it is to out of a sudden just see the whole city being on smoke,
Wiped
right?
out. Yeah.
Or all of the plastic in the ocean. We go there and so on. So there is these times that actually shake us, and like it's like a slap on the face. And for some of us, that has been brutal at times, right? Like it has been like, wow, like this is, where's the hope? What can we do now, right? Like and that's the argument of a lot of people, and unfortunately a lot of people that I know that are keep being hardcore activists, but nevertheless, well, you need, it's not that I'm hopeful. I'm not necessarily hopeful, but I try to be. I am encouraging myself to be, and that's one of the most difficult things to do, right? But we need to. And I have a beautiful 15-year-old daughter, and with all of the children that I keep seeing, and the connection that they have when we just let them be in nature, and that's our hope, and that's what we have to do. We have to really make an effort of being hopeful, of putting a peaceful and loving fight.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, that's sorry, we got a little of I'm a bit jumpy sometimes, sorry with my
That's okay.
conversation. But I mean, that's what we were talking before about how we can be shaken, right? And especially what can we do after seeing all of these things and after starting to be aware. Again, and going back to the food, right? And
Okay.
that's obviously my thing. And I've been buying food in the Amazon, in Manaus. I've been getting food from villagers in a river in Papua New Guinea. And I've been purchasing food in different markets all over the globe, and always trying to get the local production, the local
produce, yeah.
local products, yeah. And it's for me, it's just as simple as that. And
As
it's just
simple as buying local produce instead of the
it's
one
just a
imported from Australia, buy
That's right. Yeah,
the Malaysian one from the market or the English one from the market, like wherever you're based, like the one from the market rather than the imported one.
exactly. But let me tell you something, because there is my wife, she's from Hong Kong, right? And about what, like 90%, 92% of Hong Kong food comes from abroad, right? Also Japan import a lot. And
Yeah.
so I would say not necessarily, definitely, if you have the option of buying, of getting local products, you will be helping the local economy. You will be helping, let me tell you this fact, right? You know that 65% of the poorest people on the planet, they are small farmers, small scale farmers, and also farmers without land. Those are the poorest people, and those are the ones that are most affected by climate change.
Of course.
And they are also the ones that had to, they're the most vulnerable to wars and to terrorist groups and all these things, and they often have to migrate. So, right, so if we try to help this the people that is actually producing and making an effort, and they are actually the ones cooling the planet down. Small scale farming, small scale food production is the key to have a future. And in what way can we help that to happen, right? Of course, I understand. If I live in, as you mentioned before, I'm going back and forth to France, and they don't produce coffee there, right? So yeah, I really would like to have a cup of coffee. So, but I would definitely choose not to buy a Nestle brand.
Yeah.
Right. I would definitely go to the ones that are having an organic and agroecological production.
Yeah.
And especially that is a free trade, not a free trade, a fair trade system of commercialization. And this is already happening. There is already many sources, many ways for us to purchase these items, right? Again, I would say, it's quite hard sometimes not to get as I said, the coffee, right? If you live in Norway or so on, there is a couple of things that maybe you shouldn't buy them, right? Like in a city in the Norwegian Arctic, in one of the top cities of the planet, they sell bananas. Right, so yeah, I'm definitely not going to buy bananas in the Arctic, right? But I understand that maybe for some people it is a need and they have this mindset, but there is other nutrients that you can substitute, right?
Yeah.
And definitely something
that reminds me, like my mom used to say, and we see this in the US, we see this in the UK culture as well. You have to eat with the seasons. For example, in Mexico, it's mango season in March around that time. It's not mango season in December. So in December, you do not buy mangoes because that means that they came from somewhere else. You eat with the seasons. Yeah. Same with the apples. That's why October, it's like October pie, apple pies everywhere in the US. That's like a good advice. Locally. Like eat what's locally produced.
Yeah.
The seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Eat with the seasons. Definitely, we have a very modern way of eating, and we have been accustomed to a specific type of food, right? It's hard sometimes to remove this from our culture of eating, but again, what you said, if we can go to the markets, let's go to the local markets, let's talk to the local producers. They know. And they know a lot about nutrients. They know a lot about medicinal properties of food. Yes. Because food heals us.
Yes.
Yeah, I really would like to tell you guys a lot of things. Like of what I've seen in Papua New Guinea, I get the opportunity to fly in a helicopter, and I saw the beautiful forest. Yeah, in Papua is one of the most pristine ones in the planet, right? But then all of a sudden, it just changed dramatically, and it's all palm oil plantations.
Oh,
And of course, palm is it's a very good product, right? Because it produces a lot of oil, and you can use it for so many things.
yeah.
But it's again the way you are producing it, the way you are exploiting a resource. There is some sustainable palm production in Colombia, and also in I think in Ghana they're starting, and in some African countries. I think Malaysia could do that with all of their resources, and
Yeah.
so it could be organic, it could be agroecological, right? And again, what I was saying about the biodiversity loss is that, yeah, mainly, you know that about 70% of the grains that we produce, or the food that we produce, well, especially grains in the world, they're going to feed the animals that we eat. Okay, not the population. And
Yes.
yeah, and of course, this is it's part of a chain of consumption. It's part of a chain of production that is truly destroying the planet. Definitely, yeah, if we cut in our animal products consumption, definitely we're going to help the planet. But that's not the only thing. There could be, and that's something you asked me about, talking about veganism. Yeah, definitely. We need to be more vegan. We need to consume more products directly from, like, plant-based products, for many reasons, for our health, for the planet, for yeah, you name it, right? To have enough food for everyone. But everything depends on how it is produced. I was in a farm in Argentina, in the north, in Misiones, in the jungle, a beautiful place. And this guy, he was really crazy about how the manure helps the soil and helps the whole environment of the place. The manure coming from the cows that he sells to the local butchery.
Yeah.
And the local butchery that is going to feed the whole town. And the whole town doesn't know that they are eating a really beautiful meat that is 100% organic, agroecological. And this production is actually not only not producing CO2, but it's actually helping to reduce the CO2. And that's something really, really important.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's not about not eating meat. It's about the process as well.
Yeah.
What's
It's
behind that little cow.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that, of course, there is no enough of that very good quality meat, like the one that he produces, to feed our nowadays meat consumption. There is not. First of all, we need to cut the meat drastically, for so many reasons, right? And then we need to source it right. I've been doing documentaries of farmers and indigenous communities every time that I sign up for Greenpeace. I can give you my YouTube page.
Yes.
It would be great if you guys put a like, and yeah, we are actually wanting to to launch our first proper documentary. Anyway, I was in Norway talking to this amazing farmer. He's like 78-year-old, beautiful, very strong, very tall, very joyful Norwegian man. And he told me something that I think it makes perfect sense. Is every time that we go to buy food, it's like casting a boat, right? So to whom are you gonna vote? You're gonna vote for the ones that are having this precious big tomato, and that is maybe coming from a corporation, and is using a lot of pesticides and chemicals, but it's so pretty. Or you're gonna buy the maybe a little bit uglier one that is coming from a local farmer that is putting natural resources on it. So it's all about
A
choices.
choice.
Yeah, and it's just as simple as that. The key is on every single meal of every single day. That's how we can save the planet, and it's something that it's so clear for me because
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been buying in supermarkets in all the places of the world, and I've been also going to the markets and knowing their products and so on. And it's just as simple as that. And it also could heal people. We could heal diseases, right? Let me tell you something. In Chile is the biggest producer of salmon in the world, right?
Mhm.
Like most likely, if you guys go to the supermarket and take a look, perhaps then 90% of the salmon there will be from Chile. Okay, so let me tell you that Chilean salmon is being produced with the highest amount of antibiotics and of
Oh.
hormone levels that it's even worse than chicken factories and so on. It's
Oh,
really terrible.
wow.
Yeah, it's 400. They put 400 times more antibiotics
In salmon
than.
rather than in
than
chicken. And I'm thinking here that I'm eating healthier because chicken has a lot of
no,
antibiotics.
yeah, maybe the chicken in Malaysia it might be not too bad, but definitely like industrialized chicken has a lot of hormones. So also be careful with our children, especially with
Yes.
the girls,
Yeah.
because it could really affect our hormone. That could affect their hormone production. Anyway, the salmon, a part of that, it creates a huge pollution on Patagonia waters. It's not as healthy as it is. But another product that is coming from Patagonian waters, from Chilean waters, that is maybe 1/20th of the price of the salmon,
Trout.
algae.
Algae.
Yeah,
Interesting.
seaweed. And it's you guys in Malaysia, you have access to very good quality algae, very good quality seaweed. I went with a woman. They call it in Chile. They call them orilleras because they go in this around in the edge of the water. They also get in really cold waters, and they just harvest the seaweed, and it's literally just
Like
cutting
grass.
grass.
Yeah.
So they're just cutting grass, and they just let them dry in the sun, and that type of seaweed, which is like about 90, I think it's 99% of all of the macroalgae, which is the big seaweed, is eatable. And
Wow.
it has the best, if you analyze it, is the most nutritional, the most nutritional food that we can have as human beings.
Oh,
It,
wow.
yeah, and
Like
it
you
has,
said, this is a very nutritious podcast.
right, that's right, yeah. And it's just amazing because it also it reduces cholesterol levels. It has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids plus omega-6 and great minerals and so on. It reduces the cholesterol levels. It reduces the risk of heart diseases and heart attacks and so on.
Amazing.
It also balances the body glucose peaks, right?
Okay.
For if you are diabetic, seaweed is an amazing food. And another thing is that it's the only thing that they do to the planet is that they filter the water and they also swallow CO2. They fed from CO2.
Oh, wow.
So we're harvesting uh, the source that is cooling our planet.
That is a beautiful way to kind of like wrap up everything. It's been so interesting. And it's like, well, you have an absolutely fascinating story. But when it comes to practical things that we can do, it's like, of course, eat less meat, buy local. You want
Yeah.
to eat meat, like go from the local farmer,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
eat more seaweed. That's a new one. I've never heard that.
Yeah, and there is so many other. When I was in Papua, it was amazing. I went with a group of women. They recovered uh, a plantation of palm oil that it was being dropped. It was the first one in the whole island, and they recovered it and they started to farm in there. And it was amazing as well to work with them. I was going way behind because of cultural protocols, and how they eat so many plants coming from the forest, so many plants, and some of these plants are so rich, so good they're like 10 times better than spinach, and it has a lot of omega-3 and so on. In Mexico, we have purslane, that is a miraculous plant, and it also has a lot of omega-3. And yeah, so there is sources, there is nature heals, nature provides to us, and we can heal the planet. We can, and we must, and we should, with the most important tool that we have nowadays, which is the power of our choices.
Power of choice. Yes.
Yeah. As how Finn said, to whom are you going to give your votes, right?
Yeah.
To future or to the same old type of destruction?
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Daniel. Where can we find you? And your amazing recipes, because we've been following.
Oh, right. Well, I am also doing online classes. I have I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Chef Daniel Bravo Garibi, or Chef DB Garibi. The keyword is the second last name, which is not very common. So I use it a lot.
I will add it to the notes.
Yeah, and I'm I started an NGO with my wife. It's going a little bit slow because of the pandemic, and I'm struggling a little bit with funds and so on. But I believe in it. It's to encourage and to promote sustainable food, sustainable eating and consumption, and helping small-scale farmers. And the documentaries and the small films that I've been making, you can watch them as well on YouTube. The channel is called Feeding Freedom.
Feeding Freedom. Oh, that's beautiful.
Kellogg's is launching a campaign that is called Feeding Freedom too, but I'm gonna sue them. Okay. But anyway, okay. The channel is mine, and it's from me and my partner, the filmmaker, and it's good. So hopefully, yeah. And to anyone, if you have any doubt about a specific type of food and you want to learn more about something, please send me a text. I'll be very, very happy to help you out if I can. And yeah, I hope you guys can also I don't know, like my
difference.
Yeah, like my pages or whatever, and in YouTube, hopefully you can see some of the work that we've been doing.
Yeah, which I'm sure it's super amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
cool. Well, it's been a pleasure having you in the show. Extremely informative and inspiring, and it's like eye-opener to even how change our mindsets and how we connect with nature, because nature is part of us. I think that's what I take out of this. It's like nature is part of us. Therefore, you need to look after what's part of us.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
That's right.
Absolutely amazing. Lovely meeting you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It's been fascinating speaking with Daniel, and speak to you next week. Have a lovely week and start changing your eating habits. Ciao.
Okay.